Hey folks, this is Mike. How's it going? I'm here to do my final episode for Movies from A to Z, and the Z film is Zabriskie Point. So we are ending up right on the top of Zabriskie Point, which is a real place in Death Valley, by the way. I'm really frustrated here because I've been trying to do this for over an hour, and I've done something like 8 or 9 false starts on this video, and I just get confused about what I'm trying to say, and the video goes on too long. I don't know. Maybe it's just this movie. It's just working with my head somehow. But has anybody seen this? By the way, I think a couple of guys mentioned to me that they had seen it already. But I'm not going to give a lot of detail away because I think you should see this at least once, simply because it's just so strange, right? And so I'll just try to give a brief overview. This was a film that came out in 1970, sort of the height of the counterculture era, and it was directed by Michaelangelo Antonioni, who had a big success with Blow Up in 1966, his first English language film, on which he did his take on the English counterculture, and it was a big success, huge moneymaker. Everybody liked it, the critics liked it. So he had a deal to make 2 more films in English, and this was his second. He decided to do his take on the American countercultural phenomenon of the time. And I found this quote online, which can give you a great overview on what Zabriskie Point was supposed to be. And I could probably just turn the video off after that, because this will tell you. The film was a statement on the burgeoning violence in America and the growing rift between the establishment and the counterculture as interpreted through a European sensibility. Okay, so did you get that? Because that's the last time I'm going to read it. I've already read it about 9 times tonight. Anyway, so Antonioni was trying to give his impression of the counterculture. He found a couple of young people, good-looking young people, non-actors. A young girl named Daria Halperin, who she was about 19 at the time, and a young guy named Mark Frechette. I'm not sure where he found Daria. She was a college student at the time, but Mark Frechette was a carpenter. I think supposedly he found him on the street corner somewhere. It must have been in L.A. And Mark Frechette was standing at a bus stop, and he was having an argument with somebody up on the 3rd floor of a building. So he was yelling, and Antonioni was just impressed by this guy's anger, so he hired him on the spot. Well, so they're not great actors, and they don't have a lot of presence, but at least they're interesting. And Daria Halperin is a very striking looking young girl. She had this beautiful long brown hair that hung all the way down below her waist, beautiful eyes, very exotic looking. So I don't know, it just it starts out with kind of a realistic way. A group of students at this unnamed college are having a meeting about shutting down the university. There's a bunch of radical kids, right? So you have all these black students with afros out to here and long-haired white kids, and they're all sort of arguing back and forth about who's more radical than who, and I should be doing this, and I'm the one, which is about how those meetings go. I used to go to some of these things back in the 70s and up into the 80s, and they can be very frustrating, and nothing ever gets done, you know? So in the back of the room, Mark Frechette, who has been listening to all this, he stands up and he says, "I'm willing to die for the cause, but I'm not willing to die of boredom." So he walks out. He ends up getting involved in some radical things, and he has to get out of town. So his way of getting out of town is to steal a plane. What would you do? He goes to an airport and he steals a plane. Obviously, he knows how to fly. He flies out to the desert, to Zabriskie Point. Meanwhile, Daria Halperin is playing a young girl who is a secretary to Rod Taylor, who is he's playing a very wealthy real estate man who works in town, but he has this amazing house that's built out in the desert on the side of a hill, sort of built into the rocks. So she's driving out there to go to his house, and that's where Daria and Mark encounter each other in the desert. He sees her car driving endlessly through this long sequence that seems like purgatory, and he starts circling around her and diving toward her, and So he lands the plane, they start talking, they start communicating, although they don't say a lot of really intelligent stuff. And then at some point they think, what the hell? Let's get naked and make love. So they do. They make love in the sand, which can't be comfortable because it's very hot in Death Valley. But so while they're doing this, all these other bodies appear out of the sand. And it's this strange orgiastic thing. So that's just kind of the centerpiece of the film, the encounter between these two young people. There are some other things that sort of go into the plot, and it has a very, very famous ending, which I'm not going to tell you about. I wasn't going to give it to you in great detail, but I don't want to spoil it for you, because as I said, I would advise people to see this at least once. So maybe I didn't say that. I probably said that in all the other 9 videos I did tonight. But yes, you should see this at least once, just because it is so weird. Lots of good music in the film. Pink Floyd, the Youngbloods, the Rolling Stones, the Grateful Dead. You even hear a little bit of Patti Page singing Tennessee Waltz, which seems out of place. And at the end of the film, when the credits are rolling, you hear Roy Orbison singing, and I think he also wrote the song. It's called So Young, the love theme from Zabriskie Point. What else do I want to say about this? What's really fascinating about this whole phenomenon is the fact that Daria Halperin and Mark Frechette, while they were making this movie, they fell in love, and they ended up living together for a while in a commune in Boston, a thing called the Fort Hill community, or Foothill or Fort Hill, I don't know. It was a commune. I think it was called Fort Hill, and so they lived there for a while, and then Daria Halperin left because she was tired of the restrictive lifestyle of the commune, and she ended up making one more film. She had actually made a film before this in 1968, this film called Revolution, which is a documentary about the hippie countercultural thing going on in LA. And I don't remember seeing her in this, but I need to watch it again. She ended up making one more film in 1972. It was called The Jerusalem File, and then she never acted again. She married Dennis Hopper. They were married for 4 years. They have a daughter together, and then she went on to become a teacher, an artist, a dancer, getting involved in natural healing. And she has a website. She's 70 years old now. She's still very much alive and doing well. A very striking looking lady. Mark Frechette stayed in the commune, got involved in some radical stuff in real life, ended up robbing a bank with a couple of other guys from the commune, and he was put into prison. Well, he actually died in 1974 at the age of 27. He was found in the gym with a barbell on his neck, choking him to death. And well, I guess they thought it was just an accident. They never said anything about foul play, but he died at the age of 27. So it's kind of fascinating. I don't know what else I want to say about this, except that it's a very long movie. It seems like it anyway. It's only about 112 minutes long, but it seems like it's twice as long. But give this a shot and let me know what you think. Zabriskie Point, okay? And I guess I'm done. 8 minutes and 35 seconds. That's probably enough. Hey, listen, I want to thank everybody for sticking with Ian and James and me during this little project for Movies from A to Z. I appreciate everybody watching and making comments and being very supportive. You guys mean a lot to me. I can't tell you how much. And now that this is over, I intend to retire for a while. I have a feeling Ian's not going to let me. He's going to drag me back into something else here. So anyway, thanks a lot, and I will talk to you soon.